This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
A very good morning to everyone far and wide. We have a very dramatic atmospheric sky ahead of us at the moment here in the Masai Mara in Kenya. The rains of the night have been cleared and of course daylight is breaking through. So it's a very chilly morning. 17 degrees Celsius and about 63 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm all wrapped up here nice and warm, and my name is Lauren, and on camera I have the fantastic Manu. So we just thought we would give you that beautiful view of the skies in front of us before we do begin our journey on. But before I forget, please do send in your comments and questions using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or on the YouTube chat stream. And you can also send me a very hot cappuccino with either almond milk or coconut milk using that hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. And I'm going to tell you why I am asking for that. Because a certain cameraman of mine has decided that he now likes coffee. He really enjoys my coffee and almond milk. So instead of getting my 2 cups in the morning, I am now only receiving 1 because he steals it. He also steals my banana and peanut butter. So I am nowhere near getting the amount of good food that I should because Manu is stealing it all from me. So send in those coffees and those questions. And of course, we are going to be on our way. Now, just some updates for you. If any of you have been following my mission with the North Clan, I have been saying over the past few days that I really feel the North Clan have moved. There was sort of rumours that there was a potential lion interaction, but of course that can't be proven. And indeed, it's true, they have moved. I knew it. So we're going to try and possibly check on the new den today to see exactly where it is and what it looks like. But it is a little bit further away, which is not ideal for us at all. And I'm going on another spotty mission. All my missions are spots. We're going to try and look for a cheetah, be it either Busara or the mother and son that Pat had just a few weeks ago. So the update on Busara, I'm sure many of you saw Patrick's encounter with the lion, which was very sad and difficult and complicated for everybody to watch. That actually was right next to where Busara has been residing. Slightly worrying. I am sure if she was around when all those lions were around, she would have made a very quick escape. So that's slightly worrying, but we are going to keep our eyes open and ears open. Can you open your ears? Well, you know what I mean, for information on Busara. Now, I in fact was actually at that lion sighting, but I took a turn feeling rather unwell. So Patrick did step up and step in for me, and indeed he had the most incredible yet heartbreaking, very difficult sighting. So I thank my lucky stars that it was him and not me. I think I would have been way too emotional to handle all that. So that is my updates. North Clan Den has moved, but we do have a location for it. And I am indeed going after some cheetahs today. But whenever I'm with Manu, we do have the most epic luck. So let's see indeed what we are going to come across this morning. You can also send us your wish list, anything that you would like to see. Within reason, of course. We will do our very best to try and see it. So we're actually still just coming down the hill from our camp. It's a very, very steep hill, and we haven't actually even made it out of the hill yet. So we're still making our way down, and let's see exactly what we're going to come across. But for now, we're going to send you all the way down to South Africa to say good morning to Rusty.
Good morning, and welcome to Juma. We are not even 2 minutes out of camp and we've hit our first roadblock. It just seems to be one of our hyenas that has pitched up on the road and is not moving for no one. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Rusty, and behind the camera we have Davy. And we are on a mission to do everything this morning. We don't have a plan, but yes. First, I didn't expect our hyena on the road. And then we're going to move around and see if Tingana is still on his kill from yesterday. It's not too far from here. It's actually, He killed a young kudu about 2 days ago, and we want to see what is left. With this spotted guy lying on the road here, I am sure the hyenas have already found the carcass. Whether they got any of it, then that will be one of the reasons why this hyena is sticking around. But I'm guessing there was footprints coming through past my bedroom this morning, and I'm guessing it belongs to this individual. I did not track it all the way out, but the fact that he's hanging around quite close to camp with no worries, I'm pretty sure he is the culprit. He or she. I can't make it out right now. There is no ear notches or obvious signs on the ears that I can see, but if anyone can make out who it might be through this camera, I'll be happy to know. So yes, this one's not moving anywhere anytime soon. But yes, we are on IR at the moment, infrared, so it is quite a bland color, but you can see it without using a spotlight, which is what we aim to use. And we have a very interesting, another visual we can give you, which is in infrared. What's it called again? Thermal, sorry, where you can actually see the heated objects without, there might be a move. Nope, he's just scratching his back. So actually, I can't see any notches, but we'll be unclear of who he is, he or she. But there we go, the roadblock is coming to an end. But we can switch over to thermal and see it walking down the road. It's actually, isn't that interesting, hey? There's actually hyenas calling in the background, others. Just hopefully this one will contact call back. Isn't that cool, man? Yeah. Technology these days. It is the hottest item on the road, as we can see. It's very hot. Even if it walks into quite thick bush as we speak, we can still follow it without having to move. But it's almost like giving me the right of way now. Well, we'll see what it does. I think it's just going to disappear into the block here. Okay. It's actually heading in the direction of where Tingana is. I did hear that other call of the hyena came from that same direction. Alison, that is spooky. I would say so, yes. You can't hide in the bush from us for very long. We will pick you up. If you are any warm-blooded creature, we will find you very, very quickly. You can even see Impala in the background, which we can't even zoom on without this form of technology. Oh, you can actually make it out. Just. That is quite beautiful there. There is a bit of a glow in the horizon. We can switch back to thermal if we're already on thermal. But no, as he disappears into the grass, we are going to make a move and see if Tingana is anywhere near his kill from yesterday. Now the rush hour is over. Let's move on. Now, I don't know how... It was quite a young kudu that he killed. This is not a very big animal, but it is a number... it could feed him for a number of days, especially that he stored it already in a tree. So no other predators can get to it unless lions or another leopard come there. So there's a high possibility of him being there, but leopards move, so it's not always a guarantee. But I'm quite happy to see him again. I haven't seen him in a few days, although the rest of the team has. Yeah, depending if, look, he is a very adaptable leopard and he has killed on a regular basis, whether that's that smell or if there's anything left of the carcass and whether he stays around. But after 2 or 3 days of the kill, it could go rotten and he might move off. But in areas where there's less food for predators such as leopard, they will try to eat as much as they can, even though it's rotting away. I've seen a leopard that's tucked into a carcass that's full of maggots and it's a good 5 or 6 days old. So leopards, there are opportunists when it comes to that. They will eat as much as they can, then move off. But if they do have a lot of prey around, and it's easy pickings, then they will go and find something fresh as soon as possible. So we'll just see what happens. There was actually lions calling this morning as well, which was a nice surprise. I've got the fan blowing in my ear most of the night, and then all the sounds are muffled. But as the winter is settling in and cooling down, I may not need the fan anymore. But these lions were calling in the same direction as where Tingana is, down near the dam. I can go this way around here. Oh, there's two little rabbits. Snazzy, do the cats... Sorry, I missed that one. Sorry, I was on a different train of thought. I just took the wrong route down. Snazzy, do the hyenas pick up the behavior of the big cats or the general senses of that? Yes, especially when the lions are calling, or when the cats have picked up, or let's say the leopard has killed something, then yes, the hyenas do pick that up, especially if they pick up the smell or the scent. Sorry, we just came to the opposite side of where the hyena walked through, and all the impalas are staring in one direction. I'm guessing it is still the hyena. Oh, thank you very much, Crystal. You have saved me a few times on that. Crystal just mentioned that the hyena that we saw is called Nkosa. Is that correct? Kosa. And he is one of the males that hangs around from the Djuma den. So it's actually the first time I've seen him. So thank you very much, Crystal. Thank you very, very much. The impalas don't seem to be worried too much, so I'm sure those hyenas passed through or still coming. Okay, we're still going to continue down and see if Tingana's down at the dam or on his kill still. Thank you. So yes, going back to the previous question. We are going to continue down and see if Tingana's on his kill and hopefully have some luck with him. Oh, nope, there's the hyena walking down the road. Okay, while we follow up on Tingana, I'll send you back to Lauren, who's looking for Busara.
Indeed I am. We are coming down to Busara residence. It's a bit risky. I'm really not 100% sure that she will have stayed there after all that lion commotion. I'm really, really not sure, but it's always worth the look. You got to take some risks, and sometimes you've just got to go and investigate to see if she will still be around. She's a lone, solitary female who really has to be on guard to look after herself. So I'm not 100% sure that she really would have stayed around after all of that. Now it turns out that Hippo was indeed on the sort of territorial border between the Olololos and the River Pride, which is why such chaos broke out. So if the lions really are hanging around there, Busara won't. But it is indeed, of course, worth checking out and just seeing what is happening this way. And if Rusty does find Tingana, please do give him my regards. Oh, it's been so long since I've seen Tingana. You must say hello for me. I think it's Ellie, my volume is very low, is asking, do we know which lioness cubs were killed? It is believed to have been the Olololo Pride cubs. I think Patrick gave quite a lengthy, in-depth discussion and sort of wrap-up of everything yesterday. So if anybody does have any questions, you are indeed welcome to go and watch Patrick's summary. It was a very complicated sighting. But I do believe it was the Olololo cubs that were killed. There was 3 of them, and indeed the Olololos have or had 3 cubs. But I think at the moment there was only 2 confirmed cubs dead. Not quite sure what happened to the 3rd one. Unfortunately, it's highly likely that that 3rd cub is also dead. But indeed, I don't believe at this moment it is confirmed. So when I was at the sighting in the afternoon, before I took unwell, it was the Olololos with the Quechua males sitting on top of the hippo eating it. So that's how it was in the afternoon. And of course, I did a lovely broadcast for everybody introducing the cubs, and sadly everything that unfolded after that was quite horrific. So it is believed to be the Olololo cubs. We're just crossing a bridge just now. I need to drive nice and sensibly. There we go. And here we have came right up to Quechua area, and this is indeed where Busara hangs out, or at least has been. And this is where I make the choice, right or left. I think I'm gonna go with right and see what this brings. Now the lion argument, shall we say, just happened off to the left here. Right over here is where it happened. So I'm really not sure we are gonna see Busara. We just have a little bit of traffic up ahead, so we'll give you a beautiful view of the skies while we wait for some cars to pass by. Look at that. I hope it's going to be a beautiful, bright, sunny day, because indeed I cannot handle any rain. We'll continue onwards. The traffic is cleared. Child of the Universe is asking which pride won. That's a very strange question. I'm not entirely sure it was about winning. Obviously, the Olololos lost 3 cubs. I'm not sure any pride won, to be honest. There was injuries on both sides. Even the males got injured, females got injured, cubs died. I'm not sure anybody won. But again, for any really detailed explanation, Patrick did give it all yesterday. It was a very, very, very complicated sighting. Lots of dynamics, unexpected dynamics happened. So indeed, I'm not sure anybody actually won Child of the Universe. Busara, where are you? Please don't have traveled too far away from us. Woo! If Busara has indeed wandered off, as females do tend to be a little bit more roaming and nomadic, then we might lose sighting. Imogen's asking about the North Clan den having moved. So it's quite common for hyenas to move den. It definitely happened to us in Juma, and it took us months to relocate them again. So the most common reasons for hyenas to move their dens are indeed from sort of threats or dangers. If lions really have came up and maybe tried to attack or scared them, then they would move dens, or from an overload of parasites. Now you've got to think, in the North Clan there's actually a big burrow underneath the ground with a lot of hyena cubs. Now I love hyenas. I am the #1 hyena fan, as many of you know. However, they are not the cleanest of animals, and they smell rather delightful too. So you can imagine all these cubs in the burrow underneath the ground. Eventually parasites will start to build up, and eventually the mothers will just decide it's time to move. So I just knew it. I knew they had moved, and they had. I could just sense it, and they have been sighted at other dens. So normally what happens in hyenas is they will have a selection of dens that they can just rotate through. So when they're sort of fed up of one, they'll just move on to the other, and they'll move on. So we do have a location, and hopefully we will get there. I just really wanted to check and see if we could see Busara first. I really don't want that to be the end of our time with Busara. If she has decided to move on, that would be rather upsetting. So it's always worth the look, and then indeed we will go and check out this new hyena den. I think I did spend a lengthy amount of time the other day explaining how ideal the den was that they had. And of course now they've gone and changed, which is typical. Thank you, hyenas. After me dedicating my Monday Safari Lives to you, you've now gone and changed dens. They like to keep it fresh, I guess. Now, to be honest, I think I'm going to pull up here and just have a little scan around with my binos. So while I scan around with my binoculars, the bushwalk is out and about. Let's go and say good morning.
Good morning to you all. Welcome to Safari Live on the bushwalk. I'm not alone. I'm with Craigie, the camo operator. So, my name is Ollie, and joining us on the bushwalk also it's Raxon. Oh, has vanished. He's our bush scout for today. He's having his 375, and we are looking forward to see all the amazing little things. But my topic for today will be tracks and signs of the wild. So what I'm having here is a track of an animal that is nocturnal. And this track, you may think that it belongs to a leopard because of the shape and size. But no, it belongs to this beautiful creature we hardly see, which is called an African civet. This track over here. If you can look the shape of this track, this is what you have to look first, the shape of the track. It's roundish and it has round toes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the other thing, you can see the claw marks here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the head. The main pad is more like a square. So what I'm trying to say is this track was here last night, as this animal is a nocturnal species. I'm trying to find this animal in my book and show it to you. So for any questions and comments, you can type those in on your Twitter account using the hashtag SafariLive or YouTube chat stream. I can find a African civet here in my book. Oh, it's not so hard to find the tracks of civet because they are nocturnal species. Each and every morning when you go out, we normally see them on the roads. But to see a civet itself, it's so rare. I haven't seen a civet since I came here, but I'm looking forward to see one. Maybe when I'm on my way to the camp after a sunset drive, because that's the time where they start to be active. Ooh, I can't find that thing here. Lara Moore wants to know what's the difference between a civet and a genet. Oh, I will show that to you. The size matters. Here's the owner of this track, which is an African civet. This animal right here, it's very beautiful. Yeah, did you see that? So I will show you the difference between a civet and a genet. Let me find you a genet very quick. Where are you hiding, Janet? If you can see it, with a small goose. Where are you hiding? That small spoiled kid, several on the Janet. Oh, I can't find it here in my book. Oh, 66, yes. I found it. Here's a genet. It's sporty, and at night, in these long and tall grasses, you might think it's a leopard if you can see just a glimpse of it. But for now, let me send you to my friend who's Rusty by his name with a leopard.
Well, we followed the hyena down to the site where this young, well, he's not exactly a young lad anymore, but he hoisted a kudu kill up into a tree just behind us. And we found the kill eventually, but we could not find him. But he had been staring down at us from the bank, obviously the whole time we were here. But it just goes to show how blended he is. I mean, he stands right out. As soon as you see him, it's like, how did I miss him? But there he is, clear as day, just keeping an eye out on us. So yes, he is a beautiful chap. So for all of those who don't know who this chap is, I've only seen him once before while he was mating with a Buffelshoek female, another female leopard that was seen up on the corner of our property here. His name is Tingana. Now, Tingana was born in 2006, around 2006. We're still not 100% sure. Obviously, following the heritage back is quite difficult with these cats. But we're guessing from people's past experience here and how long he's been around, they guess him to be born in the time of 2006. So that'll make him about, 13 years old, which is still actually a very old cat when it comes to areas like this where there's a lot of competition. But he is still doing very well. He has not been dethroned, and he pretty much rules this part of the reserve. He is looking a bit weathered around the edges, but still, like I said, we saw him mating the other day, so his genes are still being spread. Now, there's not much left of the kill, and there is hyena, the one we saw earlier. He is still meandering around, and I think that's who Tingana is, keeping a watchful eye over. The hyena cannot reach the kill in the tree. We will go back just now and see if we can see it. Obviously, at this time in the morning, there's still a very bad light. So shining into a dark, or using the camera to go into that dark section of the tree, it gets a bit distorted. But we'll rather look at a leopard than what remains of his kill. Whether or not he's going to go back to it, I'm not sure. I did not see much left of it. I could just see a bit of legs of what the kudu, or remains of the kudu. Linda, I couldn't agree with you more. She says, look at those eyes. Oh, and I think he heard us. Look at those eyes, look at those stomach. That's stomach. I think he definitely had a fair share meal last night. But that's what leopards do. They do store their food, so they don't necessarily have to hunt continuously. So he will, if there is anything left, he hasn't moved far from what was left in the tree. So there might actually be enough for him to come back for a midday snack or go back this evening to carry on feeding. So it looks like he's parked up now for the rest of the day. Unless he is quite exposed there, so I think as soon as the sun hits there, he will move into the shade. But that's going to definitely be in the next couple of hours. I would like to go see the rest of the area and see what else is moving around. But for now, I'm going to stay with him. James, how long do leopards live for? That's a very good question, and it does vary from area to area. But most leopards age, a male can get up to about 12, 13. He's actually pretty much coming to the end of his career here, but I can't say that for a fact because they can go 13, 14, 15 years and without being knocked down. But there are always younger leopards coming through. There are a few around in the area. And it just takes one that's about 8 years old to come in here and to push him off his territory. Sometimes they do fight to death, but it's not often the case. Sometimes they just get wounded and actually suffer from the wounds inflicted from the fight. So whether or not he will be taken on by the other resident dominant male we have, called the hook or hukumori, if they end up in the same area together or crossing paths, I am not too sure which one will stand down. Since they're both very territorial and both dominant, it is unsure. But there's always a younger chap to take his place. So yes, a 13-year-old leopard is very old. 14, 15 is heard of, but as they get older, you'll see less and less of them because their territories start to shrink because they do not have the energy or resources to support or defend that territory. But it's not always the case. I'm just going on rough estimation of what other territorial males and how old they get to. But he is a very well-known leopard here and become part of the family. Well, as we keep a close eye on Tingana for the next half an hour, we will send you over to the Mara with Lauren, who's got some feisty zebra.
Well, we did just have two zebras doing something very interesting, but of course they heard that we are live and they have now stopped. Now it appears to be two females, and indeed they were not... Oh, I'm going to go back for some more. It wasn't sparring as males would do, but they were definitely not too happy with each other. But of course all the action has quietened down. Come on, you two. What were you up to earlier? Now, we're still at the same area, Kichwa Airstrip, and the grass is just incredibly short down here compared to the other areas. We have so many zebra, impala, Thompson's gazelle, warthog, topi. We're just surrounded by so many different species, and this is probably exactly why Busar... Oh! Is that a hyena? That walk is unmistakable. Is it? Indeed it is. Good morning. Where are you off to in such a hurry? We could just hear the jackals a few minutes ago, so I wonder if something has happened here and we just haven't unraveled the mystery yet. So everything is here. It is absolutely full with so many different species. Now the zebras are... Oh! Not too sure all is well with these zebras. I do think they're having a morning tiff. There we go. They're not too happy with one another, that's for sure. The hyena's walking a little bit closer to them. I think we might watch and see exactly where this hyena goes. Jackals calling, hyenas running. It could be a sign that something is indeed going on. Oh, the zebra and hyena are going to cross paths right any minute now. There we go. The zebras do not look particularly bothered. And the hyena is off. Where are you going? Right on cue. It's definitely up to something. Let's drive a little bit closer to the zebra. It was fascinating what they were doing earlier. Now, zebra are beautiful. However, I have to say one of my most disturbing encounters that I have had to date with SafariLive was actually with Mr. Brent Leo Smith, and it was on a training drive many moons ago, and it was two male zebras sparring, and they were obviously fighting over the ladies, and indeed it was one of the most disturbing things I have ever seen, and one of the males actually ripped out the other male's stomach, and it was very sad to see, and unfortunately I believe that male probably most likely wouldn't have survived, and it was just caused by another male of his own species, and I don't think I'll ever forget that for a very long time. Zebras, of course, can be very vicious with one another, and that indeed was a very sad sighting to see. Look at them go. A very dramatic scene up ahead. So indeed, zebras can be vicious with one another. Not necessarily with any other animals, but with their own, it can be very unpleasant. Oh, there's an impala just running in for the sake of it. Hi and bye. So I think we will continue on ahead. The hyena's sloping off towards my right side. I do wonder if there has been something happening in this area. I definitely think it's worth an investigation. Or potentially the hyena could just be smelling the hippo. I'm sure there's still remains of that hippo around. I'm sure of it. It was a very large hippo that those lions were feeding on. Oh, it looks like I'm not the only one with zebras. How fantastic. Let's go down to Tolly, who has zebras of his own.
Yes, Lauren, I also have zebras here. Beautiful stripy donkeys or horses is what I call them. They are moving while they are feeding on a single file. Normally they have this exciting movement because when they walk on a single file, the male will walk on the front, and then the oldest female will follow, and then the youngest female or wife, it will be at the back, and sometimes can be vice versa. So why I showed you this zebras is because I wanted to show you their tracks. They have this interesting track that looks more like a horse and a donkey. And we have beautiful impalas also. Then they are giving us this amazing sighting because they are not far away from us. They were like about 50 meters away from us, and they are still feeding. It simply means they are not bothered by our presence. And then here is a zebra track. And you can see this part. It's roundish. It doesn't have any cloven hoofs, and it has this part over here which is called a frog. It's easily identified on the ground. Let me draw it for you on the ground. It's easily identified. When you see, if you have horses, you'll normally be familiar with this track. They have this kind of a track. Nice one, isn't it? And why, if they start running, or you see it, and then the track will be confusing because you won't see all the parts of the track. And I don't know whether I got the name right, but you want to know what is the group of zebras called. Simple, it's called a dazzle. Why is it called a dazzle? Because zebras have stripes, and when they run, they will confuse their predator, which is a lion. It won't know where's the neck, where's the back. That's what I know about the name of these group of zebras. And these zebras are called Burchell's zebra. We also have Cape Mountain zebras that we don't find here. We also have the Gravies and Hartmann's zebras. And these Burchell zebras are also known as plain zebras, and these are the zebras that they are more than any zebras. These ones in the wild, only about 750,000 left. Then the Gravies, they are about 2,300 left. The Cape Mountain, about 700 left in the wild. And that's so shocking because the number of zebra is declining very much. And we have beautiful impalas on the side there, grazing and grazing and grazing. So for now I will leave the spot and look for other amazing signs of the wild. Let's go to Rusty with a cat that will be interested in these impalas.
Well, he is very, very relaxed. Actually, I don't need to describe what he's doing right now. It's quite obvious to everybody who is watching. He has a full belly and he is quite content. He has not moved since we were last with him. And yeah, he's got an easy breathe on. But like I said, he is quite exposed where he is. So as soon as the sun breaks about, let's say about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, when he gets a bit of direct sun on him, he will move. But I don't know if I'll be around when that happens. But he's not far from camp, so I'll definitely come back and follow up on him later. But for now, we've just been sitting here in the drainage line and been listening to the dawn chorus. I don't want to be anywhere else right now. It's absolutely gorgeous. Apart from being attacked by mosquitoes. The bird life here is beautiful. Tammy, do leopards struggle when they get older? That, yes, it's the same with humans. Obviously their teeth wear down a little bit, their strength wears down. They do lose a lot of condition as they get older. They do try and keep up and mark their territory, so they do wear down their energy levels very quickly. But as they get older, it becomes harder and harder to capture even the larger prey. And the smaller ones, although they are small and should be easy, they're still very quick. So it's not exactly easy for them as with us. When we get older, we get frail, slower. It's the same with leopards. So yes, as they get older, it's harder for them to hunt. They end up stealing kills of younger individuals. They end up going into areas hunting throughout the day, even in the hottest time, because if they can't hunt at night, then they hunt during the day. It does become difficult in the long term with everyone. And obviously when that starts to happen and they start to weaken, they obviously lose their territories, which in the end they get pushed out on the perimeters, or actually they end up still in the same area, but they become less vocal in the fact that they don't end up marking their territories anymore. They don't announce their arrival or departure from the area. They just slink off into the background and try not to exist around other males or other females. They just pretty much close themselves off, which is fine because they need to, it's survival. But generally males at a certain time will end up being forced out by a territorial fight. It's not a lot of them just step down as easily as that. So when Tingana gets to a certain point where he'll have to have a showdown with another male, we do hope he does hang around, but it's the survival of the fittest out here, and the next generation will need to take over. His son, Hosanna, who is about 3 years of age, who I believe has moved off to Londolozi, an area not too far from here, we do hope that he will make a triumphant return and hopefully take over his territory from his father. It's not 100% sure if Tingana is his father. There's no blood test to prove it, and we try keep contact of who's who and see how much research has been done. But unless a DNA test result says yes, they are related, we are not sure. But just going from what we've seen and what we've captured on our past excursions, we believe that Hosanna is his son. But yeah, we are still waiting for him to come. Apparently he hanged around exactly where Tingana is right now. Hosanna used to hang around this area and he was actually quite a big star of the show. But since he's moved out the area, we have relied on his father to take his place, or possible father. So we have not seen the hyena, although we have lost sight of where kill is, but there doesn't seem to be a lot left on that kudu. Laura Moore, that is a very long question. How long will that leopard be if you relate it to a human? Well, I'm going to guess with like dogs. If we go with dogs, it's like 7 years per 1 year of a dog's life. Is that correct to say? So, yes, so 13 years old. How good are everyone's maths? My calculation. Come on, Darby, how good is your maths? So we got 13-year-old leopard and we do 7 years. So 13 times 7 is, who can work it out quickly in their heads? Because I definitely need a calculator, which I have right here. So 13 by 7. Well, he is as old as my grandma. My grandma's actually 92. So yes, and if I'm just going from like that reference to a dog's years, we go 7 years per every 1 year for the leopard's life. So he is 13 years old, which makes him 91 years old in human times and human life. So yes, that's a very old leopard when it comes to human relevance. So yes, I hope that answers your question. I've actually never worked it out like that, and that is quite interesting. But that's only like I'm working it out to what a dog's life is to human's life. So if anyone has any other ideas how to reference a cat's life to a human's life, that is how I have got it. So 91 years of age to human life. Yvonne, which leopards leave their cubs? That's actually a very broad question. Most leopards leave their cubs. When do leopards leave their cubs? Okay, Yvonne, sorry, I apologize about that. When do leopards leave their cubs? That is more a straightforward question. Okay, now that also comes to how many leopards are in a territory and how much pressure there is for that female to mate next. Generally, like if we talk about I'm getting lost and confused. Talamba and her mum. Now she left at about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and she is quite independent now. And now she's 1 year and 4 months. So that's pretty much your average age when a leopard will leave its mother. It's when it becomes quite independent at about 1.5 years. It's not all the Talamba left at a very early age, but that is fair enough. As soon as she's made her first call, she's pretty much independent. So yes, about 1.5 years on average is when most leopards leave their mothers. It can sometimes be 1 year and 8 months old, but maybe even longer than that. But let's work on average about 1.5 years that they become independent and will not be around their mothers anymore. The mothers will be still accepting of them in their area, but as soon as they become sexually active or start searching for a territory of their own, then there might be a bit of a problem with the parents. There have been known where some female leopards will end up giving a bit of the territory to one of the offspring, but it's not always the case. It just ends up being a bit of a dispute, and then that young female or young male, especially young males, will be kicked off by other older males. Also not always the case, but I'm just going on by general senses of leopards and their behavior with other younger males or their offspring. Okay, we're going to hang around here and focus, see what he gets up to. But right now he seems very comfortable. We're going to send you back over to the Mara and Lauren, who is also searching for the spotted cats.
We really did look our hardest for Busara there. Of course, she could be there and we could just not see her. But something tells me in my gut that our queen has potentially moved. I could be wrong, but sometimes you just get little feelings out here like I had about the North Clan. And I really, really think Busara would have definitely moved after all that lion commotion. So a little bit sad, but definitely will not give up hope. Both Manu and I feel she might have moved this way. So of course there is indeed a chance we might see her. But hopefully she hasn't moved too far, because I guess that whole lion episode could have been absolutely terrifying for her. Oh, we have a huge, huge herd of buffalo. So let's say good morning. There we go. Look at all those buffaloes. And that is definitely one thing about Damara compared to Juma. There's just huge herds of buffalo absolutely everywhere compared to Juma. So no matter where you drive, there's just buffalo, which of course makes it paradise for a lion. And Nino, you'll have to repeat that question. I was on a buffalo track, but if you repeat it again, I'll definitely get back to you. Okay, very complicated question, Nina Moo. While we'll keep looking at the buffalo because they are rather entertaining as we go through this. So why are cheetah considered a lesser predator than lions and leopards? There's quite a few reasons. They are actually considered to be a lesser cat rather than one of the greater cats. And I do believe that is due to the specializations that they have to inhabit a specific niche. So lions are, of course, known to be extremely powerful. They work in prides and coalitions, depending on if you're male and female. And they do have the strength. Lions are incredibly strong creatures, you know, that can take down a buffalo, like what we're looking at now. And look at the size of them. Buffaloes are huge. And yet a single lion actually does have the power to do it. Leopards, of course, are specialized in their own way. They are extremely powerful animals. Look at Tingano, look at the size of him. He does have muscles. He has those huge shoulder blades. He can hoist his kill right up in a tree, keep it away from all the other animals on the ground. Leopards and lions are both extremely powerful. Now, cheetahs are designed a little bit differently. As you know, they're designed for speed. So their body's very, very unique in the way that it's just purely designed for speed. They're slender, they have very narrow hips, a flexible spine, a large rib cage to house those large lungs and heart, tiny head to reduce the body weight, very small teeth, and also to reduce the weight of that skull, and huge nostrils in order to sort of get the airflow pumping when they're running. So they're just designed very differently. They don't have the power to grab a kill and take it off another animal. They don't have the shoulder blades of a leopard. Let's drive and talk. They don't have the power of a lion. So in that respect, I think they're regarded not such a high up predator on the chain. There is also the fact that they cannot roar. Their voice box, shall I say, is very, very different. And it's all to do with a special bone called the hyoid bone. Now, it's not completely ossified in lions and leopards, which is why when they give that sort of really vocal roar, their voice box, shall we say, vibrates, and it allows them to project that roar very far and very wide. And when you hear it, it almost vibrates through every cell in your body. Now, cheetahs don't have that, so they cannot roar, which is another reason they're considered a lesser cat. They can purr, they do make an incredible noise of their own, but it isn't indeed the roar of a lion or a leopard. So they're just not considered to be one of the great cats. Now, from my opinion, they are an incredibly great cat. They're so specialized, which is indeed what makes them successful. It can also hinder them because they are so unique and because they are so specialized. Oh, hello, elephants. I almost didn't see you there. I was so deep in my cheetah chat. Let's just have a look at the elephant. Yeah, so they are so specialized that it can actually work against them. And as you know, they're incredibly vulnerable out here. They really, really did reach a population bottleneck in some parts of the world and a population decline. So cheetahs are very unique, but compared to lions and leopards, they're just not considered to be that far up the hierarchy. And those are the reasons why. Now, I think every animal, especially every predator, has a unique niche. Even these elephants here, and they're specialized to do what they do, survive and thrive within that niche, to avoid competition and in order to sort of live a successful life. And cheetahs have done just that. They found a niche to avoid the lions, to avoid the leopards. So I hope that answers your question, Minamu. To me, they're fabulous predators. But yes, in the domain of cats, they're just not considered to be that high up the chain. Now, this is a very small herd of elephants with a really, really young one there. You can just see it above the long grass. But it's a very small herd. The herds of elephants out here get much bigger than this, because it could be a separation from another herd. Sarah's saying Ellies are the best animal ever. Oh, they are indeed great, aren't they? We actually had a roadblock earlier when we were driving in the form of a young bull who just decided that he was not moving from the road. They are indeed the best animals ever. I think you can learn a lot from elephants, and I personally feel there's a lot we still don't know that goes on in elephants' herd. There's many, many organisations across the world studying them, and I think we've learned a lot, but I just feel there's a lot more about elephants and the way that they think and the way that they operate within their herd that we've still to learn. It's always nice to stop and appreciate elephants. Good morning, guys. Most herds we see out here actually all have young ones. Look at this young one here. That must be Mama. They get very big very quickly, I must say. So they very quickly overgrow that little space that's underneath Mama, underneath the tummy and the legs. When they're very young, they can fit in between there. But they very quickly outgrow that and become a little bit too large to fit under Mama. Look at the young ones, tiny little tusks coming through. It's very sweet. I have mentioned it before, but I do find the tusks on elephants in the Mara to be much longer and thinner than I do on the elephants in Juma. And this is just a personal consideration. Obviously, it's not going to be the same for every elephant, but I often get asked the differences between the two places. And this is just one I've noticed. The elephants here seem to have very much longer tusks, which are very thin and narrower. And then when I compare them to Juma, I find them to be shorter. Oh, hello. And much thicker. Cannot be sure of the reasons why of that. That's just a sort of observation that I've noticed between the two different places. It's a very relaxed herd. Feeding quite happily in the morning. It's making me hungry, actually. I didn't quite catch the name, but someone is asking, isn't he a little bit too old to be nursing? Potentially he does look that way. He could also be being a little bit naughty. It didn't look like he was properly nursing there. He could also just be trying his luck, and I guess Mother just allowed it for a little while, but it didn't look like proper suckling was actually happening there. So the youngsters of many animals out here will continue to try and suckle for as long as they can. They will push it until Mother finally says, no, this is not happening anymore. But yes, I agree. He looked a little bit too old to be doing that. But it didn't last very long, and he's gone back to feeding, of course. Now, I think we should continue on. There's so many things we want to do today. And if Busara really isn't a goal ahead for us, we are going to look for that mother and son cheetah. Raider is asking, do lions ever hunt elephants? Now, they have quite a unique relationship. Well, it's not that unique. It's pure hatred from the elephant side. They do not like lions at all. Pure hatred. And indeed, lions will go for their young. So if there's a large herd of elephants and lions are nearby, they will attempt to go for the young. Like that small juvenile we just saw back there in that herd, they absolutely would try that if they can. Now, lions have to be careful. Elephants are large animals. It would just take one kick or sort of one stomp and a lion could be seriously injured. So it's a risky game for a lion to play, but if they know that they could maybe panic the herd enough and single out that small juvenile, then they absolutely would, without a doubt. Now, of course, if there's this maybe smaller, weak individual who's sick and is maybe trailing behind the rest of the herd, again, lions would absolutely go for it. But elephant herds tend to really stick together and they will fight for their young. So the mothers, the aunties, the cousins, if a lion does approach, they absolutely will defend and fight their young. So it's risky for a lion to take on such a large animal like that, but indeed they would try, if the situation was right, of course. So as I did just mention the mother and son cheetah, this pair was actually sighted by Patrick not too long ago, and apparently they are still hanging around in the same area. So it's a little bit further away. It will take us a little bit of time to get there, but I do definitely think it is worth checking out for now. So that's exactly where we're headed. But you guys are going to head all the way back down to South Africa to the bushwalk team.
We have the wildebeest, the blue wildebeest. This is a beautiful animal. You can find this place. And there are a bunch of animals who are beautiful, but these ones are more beautiful. Some they say they are ugly because of their faces, but for me, they are beautiful. These animals over here are our main visitors because most of the time they are always next to the camp. And they have a youngster there. I always get excited when I see these youngsters because they look very beautiful. And they've spotted us already. That's why earlier on they were like, "Puh, puh, gnu, gnu." They are gnus. Sorry, they are called gnus because of their call. So we have two types of wildebeest, which is a black wildebeest and a blue wildebeest. But the black wildebeest we can't find here. It prefers the high altitudes and they stay on the mountains. I've seen the black wildebeest in the Western Cape here in South Africa and the Eastern Cape. Oh, amazing feeling just be next to these beautiful animals on foot. It's so exciting. We don't have migration here because normally we see a lot of these things in the Mara migrating from Tanzania to Kenya, Kenya to Tanzania. Yes, Indigo Girl, they are really beautiful animals. I do agree with you on that one. Yeah, I can see the beard. I just love the beard also. Hello, beautiful animals. So they also have these amazing tracks and they can do this amazing behavior, more especially the male ones, the territorial bulls. What they do is they will form something like a median. A median, they will defecate there, and then they will scratch the ground, and urinate. That's what they do to mark their territory. So let me show you a black wildebeest I was telling you about. That's more related to this animal over here. This is a black wildebeest. Beautiful animal indeed. If you can see this live, it will warm your heart. Do Do wildebeest migrate? Yes, they do migrate, wildebeest, but here they don't. The only record I've seen migrating is in the Mara, migrating from Kenya to Tanzania. But here, because you know we have fences, and then they can't migrate, so they are always here all year round. Let's take a look at their tracks. We have wildebeest tracks here. These ones, Craigie. Oh, I'm making Craigie to go down this morning. I see their tracks are different. And they can be up to 13 centimeters long. We have the hind one and the front one. They don't look the same. So you can see the hind one and the front one over here. So let me leave my tracks with peace and look for another fresh tracks that I will show them to you. But for now, let's go to Rusty with the rosetted cat.
Well, from the picture, from the angle we're at, we can definitely tell he is male. There's some obvious signs to that. We left the drainage line and went up onto one of the banks because as we moved away to see what the hyenas were up to at the kill, he actually got up and moved. So of course it's always a time where we're like, yes, okay, he's not going to move, we'll come back in 5 minutes. We came back in 5 minutes and he had got up and walked further up the bank and into the grass further up. But just disappearing down there were two hyena, Goza and another friend of his. I don't know which one it was. It looked a lot larger, so it could actually be possibly one of the females that he might be following around. But they are waiting for the easy pickings of the kill that is hanging in the tree to the right of us. There is not much left there, but as you know, hyenas will eat everything and anything that is left behind and smells good. Even things that don't smell good, but that is what hyenas do. They clean up after everyone. As well as hunt very well for themselves, but when they don't have to exert that much energy and get a free meal, they will rather scavenge from other animals such as the leopard. Now, he is definitely very relaxed. Now, I was just reading up earlier, his name, Tingana, means shy one. I did not meet him as a young leopard, and I cannot see how he is not shy by any means at the moment. I think over the years they've become very habituated to vehicles and moving around that he hasn't even looked in our direction since we arrived here. So he is no longer the shy one, although his name clearly means to be shy. He is definitely digesting that meal. Just a slow, heavy breathing. Lady Starfire, that's an awesome name. Do leopards die from old age or from territorial fights? I can answer that as what I've known. You don't often get to see leopards die of old age, but generally by that stage they've already moved out the area or have been kicked out. But yes, by territorial fight, depends how bad the fight is and how dominant the males are. If one does not back down, then it does lead to one killing the other, generally from the wounds inflicted by the fight. To have a male die of old age, it does happen, especially in areas where there's not a lot of competition or not a lot of other predators, because leopards, if you do not know, they have spread out through pretty much the whole of southern Africa, or Africa in general, obviously avoiding true deserts. But they have been known to be all the way around, even areas such as around small towns, cities. They encroach onto human habitat quite easily. So they are very adaptable to their environment and end up feeding off feral dogs, feral cats, feral animals in general. domestic animals as well. So yes, to find leopards that die of old age will be in a very secluded area where they don't have any competition, so they end up dying of old age without being killed or taken out by a younger male. Okay, so we are going to leave him be and let him be and move out the area and see what else we can find this morning. The reserve is our oyster, so we are going to go investigate and see if we can pick up any tracks that have been out this morning. See what has been since the evening. I didn't quite get that. The name. Raptors in the kitchen. Yes, I do actually know this your name. Raptors in the kitchen. Thank you. What year do leopards come of age? Well, that is, males come into age at about 5 years of age, pretty much the same as lions, but it can obviously vary depending on areas they're in. Where there's a lot of competition with other males, obviously they need to be a bit older and a bit wiser, so let's say 8 years of age here. But yes, they pretty much come into they'll take on any territorial male at about 5 years of age. But after that, females can come into estrus at about 3 years of age, even earlier depending on the circumstances. So yeah, it does vary from area to area, but in general, males at about 5 years of age, females at about 3 years of age. How are you doing? Shawl, will Tingana be chased off by his offspring? That is a possibility. It is a possibility, but it's not always the case. We just do hope that whoever does come back is somebody we know, obviously, because that helps us. But if it is another male that will decide to take over the territory, it doesn't have to be his son. It could be just another male. Then that's also the case. So yes, males have to be knocked down sometime. It's just how leopard behavior works. There is always a younger one that should take over. So Hosanna could take over, Kokomori could take over his territory. It is very undecisive right now. We'll only see later on when this all unfolds. We can't say for certain who is who or who will do what, but Tingana is coming to that age where something might knock him off his pedestal. But for now, he looks in absolute immaculate condition. He has been seen marking his territory and he is seen calling, so there's nothing's going to happen anytime soon. Unless something might, but we can't predict what's going to happen out here. So as we make through this dip, we might have a bit of a breakup, but I do apologize about that. I'll try to get through it as quickly as possible. But that was very exciting. I didn't expect to see it when we came up to the kill this morning and he was not there. We were like, oh, he's gone, but it's fine. We've got other leopards and other places to go visit, but as we're investigating the hyena sniffing around, he happened to catch my eye up on the bank. So it was great to be able to catch him this morning. So yes, like I said, very exciting to see him, and we will come back later on. It's not far from camp, so we will have full access to him later. But I do want to see what else is moving about out here. I'm going to follow up on the lions, because we did hear them this morning. Whether they're on our property, who knows, but it's been cool enough for them to move about. Okay, well, while we search for that, we're going to send you back to Lauren and the other spotted cats in the Mara.
We decided to take a little bumble, sort of on a off-road track through the long grass. Just decided to change it up for today, and this is indeed where you will find dens of potential servals, jackals, bat-eared foxes, and this is leopard territory. So we are still on the way for the cheetahs, don't worry, I don't try to veer too far from my original missions, but in areas like this, the less travelled roads, it's sometimes just worth taking a look, taking a bumble through. Oh dear, they can be slightly bumpy. However, sometimes it can be completely worth it. We all get into a bad habit of racing to find what we can, but sometimes you just need to take it slowly. I mean, you can see how high the grass is here. Okay, it's not quite reaching my hand, but it's incredibly high. So it is just worth taking a little bumble through and seeing what we can find. Now, I shouldn't potentially ignore what's happening right in front of me. You can all see it, unfortunately, so it is worth mentioning it. And indeed, this is the smoke we can see up ahead from the controlled fires. So there's no point in me ignoring it because it's right there. But indeed, it's becoming very smoky, very hazy. And that is obviously what's going on towards that side up the escarpment. So not ideal, but they are controlled. And indeed, they are regular. It does happen here every year in the Mara. So that is what is going on up ahead of us. There's no point in me pretending it is not there. However, we are going to continue on. And I'm really hoping this little gamble to bumble in the grass does pay off. Now, this is exactly where the male leopard was the other day that I tried to find for you, but didn't succeed. So you never know. From what I have learned about the leopards in the Mara, they are obviously a little bit more skittish compared to the likes of Mr. Tingana, and they do tend to stay in the same area, roughly. So it's always worth a check. But the grass being so high here makes it a little bit more trickier for us. But there's so many mounds here, so many burrows. Unfortunately, it is a little bit quiet here just now. I should probably have my binoculars attached to my head, actually. I should probably sellotape them to my head. It'd be much more easier to see. Werner is asking, will the animals move out of the way of the fire? It's a little bit of a tricky topic. Now, it is controlled, as I mentioned, and it is done by the proper authorities. I can only hope that the animals move out the way. I believe the authorities do everything they can to potentially relocate, and it is a slow burning fire. However, I cannot answer that entirely. I do hope that all the animals are indeed safe, and it is small areas that they burn at a time. So yes, in answer to your question, I can only hope that the animals do move. We see lots of beautiful birds out this morning, but other than that, nothing. Minamu is asking a very interesting question regarding the hyena den move. So as I mentioned, the North Clan have moved, and she's asking, does the matriarch choose the den site? So this is a little bit tricky to answer, because what I would have said a few days ago would be different to what I'm observing right now. So let me just tell you what has happened with the North Clan. So Waffles, you all know Waffles, well I hope you do now. Her offspring, Soup, and a few of the other mothers with cubs have been sighted at one den site. They have moved, and it's a little bit over across to the other side. It's actually much further away from us, which is unfortunate. And indeed, there is one mother who has stayed at the original den site with her two cubs, and some other members of the North Clan have gone to another site. Now, this is very confusing. I can't actually understand why they have separated so much when they really were all around the communal den. I can't quite put my finger on that, but if I was to answer your question generally, before having had all that other information, I would say generally the matriarch would decide to up and leave, and most of the others would just follow. Now, if there really was a lion's scare, if that did happen, and again, that's only speculation, then I think the hyenas would be well aware that it's time to move, and they would just sort of follow the leader, if you like. But why the North Clan is split up so much, I'm really not sure. Could it have been a really bad lion scare where they all just scattered and one mother returned for her cubs? Could that be the case? I really have no idea, but it seems to have split, and that does not mean they will not come together again in a communal den. So it's definitely worth keeping an eye on, but Waffles and Co seem to be using a different den site to what some of the other members of the North Clan are using. So I haven't seen this den site yet, so I can't actually tell you what it's like, but that is slightly confusing for me, Mina Moo. So I hope that does answer your question, generally. But what seems to have happened with the North Clan, I'm really not sure. But I felt it, you know, when I went to the den that morning, I felt something was wrong. It wasn't the normal activity that we normally have. So I knew that something had happened. And then, of course, I started to hear the stories that there was a potential lion incident. Oh, that was a big bump. Sorry, Manu. I need to pay attention to where I'm going in these roads. I'll make an excuse for myself. Sometimes the bumps are hidden by the long grass, so it's not entirely my fault. And sometimes I just need to pay more attention to the roads. Now, unfortunately, it's very quiet this way. We did decide to spice it up this morning, but I'm not entirely sure this risk is going to pay off. But let's wait and see. You never know what's going to happen. We could potentially run into a leopard. So for now, while I continually drive forward and not attempt to throw my cameraman off, let's send you back down to the bushwalk with some trucks.
We have ourselves a crime scene here. This is murder. Someone was here and he killed this plant. You can see this is a bulb. So what feeds on bulb? It's a porcupine. It's also known as a vegetarian, but it will go for bones and ivory, which accounts for the absence of these when a dead elephant is found in a remote area. So what makes it a porcupine? It's because we have evidence here, what we're looking at right now, and the track just right next to the scene. Just here. We have this track over here. It doesn't look good for now, but I'll show you a better track, which is not far from the scene. It fed and fed and fed here, and it walked that direction. So there are porcupine tracks in this direction. Yes, Craigie, that's the one. You can see the porcupine track. It looks very complicated because of what is happening here. Yeah, this is a porcupine track. It registered. You can see there's a mixture of the hind leg and the front leg. And what you see is one toe, and the second toe, the third toe, and the fourth toe. And then we have this main pad over here with lots of small pads around it. So that makes it a porcupine. And the claw marks here. The claw marks just right next to the toes. So it's very confusing with the honey badger. But the honey badger, it's like this. The toes are here, and the claw marks are very far from the toes. That makes it a porcupine. So I have a question for you. I found this track with Craig, and I want you guys to tell me what is the name of this track. What this track belongs to, and which animal is this track. You can see this is the track, round in shape. We have the lobes, 1, 2, 3 lobes. We have the toes, and it doesn't have claw marks. So if you can take a guess and tell me what this is, send your answers to #SafariLive on Twitter, and let's hear your answer. I won't leave this spot because I really want to show you this track. It's the only track I can see here, and it's very fresh. Whew. Let me give you a hint. Jeremiah wants to know, are porcupines meat eater? No, Jeremiah, they are not. They are vegetarians. They can go for bones. That's why normally you can find bones next to the entrance of their den. They live in dens made by the aardvarks. Normally if you see a termite mound, there's a hole. They love those kind of places. And they can live there for a long time, but if they are disturbed, they can change the area and look for another den site. So what they do, they have these long, strong claws, and they can sometimes dig on their own. So, let's have answers, please. I want to hear those answers. I want to hear those answers. Yes, and I forgot to tell you the size of this track. It might be 8 to 10 centimeters. This track. Rice is saying this is a lion. I don't think so. It's not a lion, but what a nice guess there. You are close, very close. Indigo Girl, that's a very good guess. Indigo Girl is saying this is a leopard track. It looks more like a leopard track, but let me give you an answer, final answer. This track, I made this track myself. And it is a leopard track. It resembles a leopard track, but it's not a leopard track, it's my track. Let me show you how I did it. Here, then I just put your 3 fingers down to make the lobes. You can see, I did this, I did this, you do this, you make the lobes. And then what I did was 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it makes something like a leopard. Yeah! But I wanted to draw a leopard track. So let me leave my Ollie's leopard track and go to Rusty with squirrel.
Well, from the spotted large cat, Tingana, to the smallest little critter that we have here. This is the tree squirrel. Not your most, I'd say, better looking of the squirrels that we get in the world. They are very simple, but they can cause quite a racket. I'm sure you can hear that. This is an alarm call. Now, it all varies on to what the problem may or may not be. The squirrels seem to have a reaction to everything. Squirrels do have a reaction to a lot of things. They react to birds of prey. They react to snakes. They react to leopards. They react to lions. They react to cheetahs. They react to monitor lizards. So whatever the problem may be, it's around here somewhere. But it could have just been a bird of prey that, whoa, that thing is on the move. He wasn't hanging around for nobody. I'm just wondering if there is something in here that we just cannot see. It's just further down, but it's quite interesting to find out where the problem is. Yep, he's on a mission somewhere. Something's wrong, something's around. He's just on a very... He ate too many nuts last night, so he's going nuts. But wherever the problem is, I cannot see it. But you'll find with squirrels, if the problem is on the ground level, they're normally quite high in the tree looking down. If the problem is in the sky, if it's a bird of prey, you'll find that either in the thickest foliage or further down in the tree looking up. So this can sometimes give you an indication. This one confused me totally because it was halfway in the tree, then it was halfway down the tree, then it was at the top of the tree, then it was running around circuits. So it's very hard to decide what the problem is. So I think it just might be a squirrel with a bad case of morning sickness when it just doesn't want to get up. It'd rather be tucked away somewhere. We were hoping for a beautiful sunrise this morning, but all we got was cloud. And it has cooled down quite drastically, and now I wish I brought trousers. I was expecting sun this today, but it might even clear up by later, which will be fine by me. But for now, the coolness means they might still be, it might mean the cats might be still active, which we are going to head towards. Like I said, there was lions calling at about, 5 o'clock this morning, and I haven't heard them again since then. So the hippos also, we heard them at a distance, so something might be around the dam where they are. Just like the squirrels, the hippos also give away the indication of something hassling them or something around the dam that they just don't like, so they end up giving this horrendous snort. I actually thought it was my stomach for a second as I had my earpiece in and I was listening to the radio, and all of a sudden this gurgle came, and I just didn't quite figure out where it came from. So I'm guessing, I'm just guessing the hippos were around having a problem. Either they're coming back from their feeding grounds and are headed back into the water, which is also sometimes when they call, just to let everyone know that they're back home. Or it just might be because the water is drying up very quickly and some elephants have decided to take a swim and found out that there's not enough space for both of them. Hippos seem to get a grudge, or sometimes have a grudge against everything when they have to share the water sources. But as the area is drying up, as you can see, the grass is actually changing color very quickly, and there's a lot of activity of elephants on the road, but that's also something we'll look out for. So yes, we're going to go to Buffelshoek Dam. I'm sure some of you know where that is. It's one of the larger water sources of water we have here, and it has our two main characters called Scuba Steve and Snorkeling Sarah. Where they are there. So yes, that's our plan. We're going to go look around the dam, see if there's any activity of any of the cats, and see if the elephants are making away. There's lots of droppings on the roads of a big herd, so they're heading in that direction as well. That might be what the hippos are making a big fuss about. Okay, we are going to let you go back over to the Mara and see what's been happening there this morning.
Are Scuba Steve and Snorkel Sarah still canoodling these days? I didn't think that relationship was going to last very long. I didn't have much faith in it, but apparently, against all odds, they're still going strong. I'm happy for them. Go Steve! Okay, so our little bumble through the grass did not bring us much, I'm afraid. We took a bit of a gamble, hoping for some excitement, but it didn't necessarily deliver. But do not worry, we are almost nearing the main road now, and I definitely do think we will start to see more life as we get forward. We do have some topi here, the first sign of life in a while. Hello there. So we're on the right track. Never mind, there is indeed always a potential that you do see a leopard in that thicket there, but unfortunately not this morning. So our next, we got one of the spots, we got one hyena earlier. Leopards are a bit much to ask for, but indeed I am going after the cheetah. Something in the kitchen. This car is incredibly noisy. Is asking, do leopards form coalitions? No, indeed, they do not. Oh, I'm sorry, guys, if I just scared raptors in the kitchen. No, indeed, they do not. Leopards are far more solitary out of all the cats, and I have some topies going crazy around me. Don't you run out in front of me. Behave. Yes, okay. So lions, indeed, male lions form coalitions. The females obviously stay within prides, which are mainly family female units, whereas the males just form coalitions with strangers. There also has been evidence that they can form up with brothers, litter mates as well. Cheetahs, the boys form coalitions, and it's slightly different from lions, and it does tend to be brothers and litter mates. However, there are actually examples out here where they do form coalitions with strangers as well, and it can be groups of brothers that actually form coalitions together. So indeed, that's your cheetahs and your lions. And when it comes to leopards, they're far more solitary. The females are solitary except when they're with their cubs, and the males as well. So that's the sort of difference in those three. They're actually all very, very different in the way that they sort of navigate their territories and whether they're solitary or not. So raptors in the kitchen. Leopards are indeed solitary and they do not form coalitions. If males are to encounter one another, which has indeed happened in Juma many times, it is not a pleasant encounter. They mark their territorial boundaries and they do not want to encounter one another. Okay, we do have some animals. This is fantastic. This is indeed what we're here to see, and it is of course another herd of elephants. So Jeremiah is asking, have I ever had any animal charge at me for getting too close? And actually, the answer is no. I don't believe I have. Definitely not from one of the cats. During one of our training drives, there was a mother elephant. I do believe potentially the matriarch, but we can't be too sure about that, who did charge us during a training drive. It wasn't a very serious charge, but she obviously was just protecting her babies. And there had been a leopard around that area just moments prior. So I think it was sort of diverted aggression, if you like. She was very stressed about the leopard being around, and of course we pulled up to have a look, and she probably just diverted her stress onto us. But other than that, no, I haven't been charged by an animal. Under the water, I have a huge fear. As many of you know, I come from the ocean. Well, you know, not directly. Oh, I guess we all do. And I have worked in the ocean for many, many years. I've swam with bull sharks, tiger sharks, all sorts of reef sharks, lemon sharks. I've rescued sharks and manta rays and turtles. But indeed, I am absolutely terrified of the fish that is known as the Titan triggerfish. So as we look at these beautiful ellies, I am actually going to bring this animal up on my phone so that you can all see what it looks like. Now, the Titan triggerfish is glorious to look at. It's beautiful, but it's very famous for being very territorial and getting very protective when it is nesting. So when it's nesting, it normally sort of makes a nest in the top of the coral reef, on the coral reef flat, and it's not really visible to your eye. So you will be swimming over, completely unaware that you're swimming over the triggerfish nest, and it will absolutely 100% come at you. And here we go. I'm going to try and see if I can show you this now. This is a Titan triggerfish. Oh no, that didn't work. Hold on. There we go. Look at that. Are you able to see that? Look at those teeth. Oh, so they say that they almost have human-sized teeth, and indeed they will bite. And I am absolutely terrified of these animals. I have been chased, I have been terrorised, and I hate to admit it, please don't tell my mother, but I did spend $500 on a pair of carbon fibre fins. A little bit too much money, but they were worth it. And this fish actually bit its way through my fins, and I now have a huge hole in my carbon fibre fin. So I'm not scared of much in the ocean or on lands, but I have to tell you, I am terrified of the Titan triggerfish, way more than I would be of these elephants. And I am, of course, terrified of spiders, but that's a whole other story that we won't go into. So in answer to that question, I haven't been charged on land, but under the water I have indeed many times by that horrible, horrible fish. Stuff that nightmares are made of, really. The Titan triggerfish. Ugh. I do not miss that animal. Yes. I'm sure many of you are shocked. Do you know, it is actually a beautiful fish, and the females and males look very, very different. And of course, the females are just guarding the nest. And when it's a conical shaped nest, so when you really look hard, you can see it, and she aerates it with oxygen. So she will be on top of the nest. Oh, the elephants are about to cross the road here. And she blows oxygen on it to keep the eggs sort of, you know, air pumping through them, and she can only see in a cone upwards, so in an upside down triangle shape basically. So when she looks up to the surface, that's her field of vision, and if she sees you, indeed Lauren, snorkeling by completely oblivious, that is the moment she says, I am going for her, she's far too close to my nest. And you will just suddenly look down into the water, and there is a huge fish coming at you, and all you can see is teeth, and it's terrifying. I do have a friend that's missing part of her ear from this fish. Tim's asking a question that I did not get at all, so I will let Nina repeat that, but I do know it's a question from Tim, so bear with me. Tim, that is correct. $500 pair of fins is cheaper than replacing my foot. Yes, you're right. That's exactly how I need to justify it to my mother. $500. Carbon fibre, you know, they're top of the range. So the elephants have crossed. I think we should also make our way there, although I think these two are actually going to cross up ahead. Look at them. Yeah, it's probably better to let them go before us. So yes, I really hope my mother was not listening, because that is a lot of money to spend on fins. But it's entirely worth it, and now I have a huge hole in them with a story to go with it. So yes, Tim, you've managed to justify it for me. Thank you so much. No, Ellies, are you not going to cross the road? Apparently not. So we shall proceed. I like to give elephants a lot of room, especially when they're at the side of the roads. But again, the elephants here do seem much, much more relaxed than they do in Juma. I can't say this enough. No, you are going to cross the road. I know you are. Okay. He is going to cross the road. Look at that, right in the middle of the road. Isn't that fantastic? So while we wait till our very large, slow-moving traffic passes, we are going to send you down to Rusty, who made it to Buffelshoek Dam.
Scuba, Steve, and snorkeling, Sarah. They are playing their usual game. No, not mating. They are just eyeing us out from the deepest part of the shrinking dam. I can actually say it's almost dropped 2 feet around the edges. It is drying up very quickly. I don't know if this dam actually dries up later on in the year. I hope it doesn't. I'm not too sure where these two will go, but for now they have seemed, I'm sure there's at least about a meter of water still in the middle there, with a good foot and a half of mud where they're standing. Well, they really aren't playing fair today. But yes, there are definitely 2 in there. They are not on little robotic animals that where the battery, we just press a button, they go up and down. They just generally do that on their own. But they were a lot more vocal earlier, especially when we were chatting about the squirrel, and I thought it was my stomach. It was actually them. And we came here, I thought that there might be a predator around, or at least elephants that might have been disturbing them. But if anything, I think they might have come back from their grazing adventures last night. Oh, that's actually a very cool sighting. We came quite close down to the water's edge to see if we can get a different angle on them. And this is working out very, very well. You can see all their vitals, or not vitals, but all their sensors, most of their sensors, the important sensors are above the water and are angled up like that. The eyes protrude further above the head, the nostrils the same as the ears. Now they do have an incredible sense of smell, and the eyesight is also really good, and the hearing is just as good. But their eyesight seems to be their strongest that I know of, because I have been spotted moving about trying to sneak up to them and on foot and crawled up, not to these ones in particular, but other hippos, thinking I can get really close to them, but just one bit of movement, then they let out this big snort and grumble that they do and let everyone else know that I am in the area. So they do have a very good vocal system when it comes to that, especially throughout the whole. If there's a large river system and I've been to areas where you can get about 60, 70 hippos in a pod, and generally about like 100, 200 meters down the river, there's another pod of hippos, and then all the way up the river systems you get them. And if one has a problem further up and they're having an issue, or spot lions or smell lions or sea lions, then they let out a call and it like travels all the way down the river, then back up the river, and it just continues like that throughout the day and night. It is one of your most iconic of Africa, and if you do have a camp or a lodge based around a water source where there's lots of hippos, where's Stereo? Where are the rest of the hippos? I am guessing they are by other neighbouring properties. We also have a large dam where I believe there are some resident pod of hippos there. But as you know, snorkeling, Scuba Steve is a dominant male, a full-grown adult male hippo. And if he goes back to that dam where there's other competition with other males, he'll be pushed out and chased out. So that's why I believe he is here. His companion, snorkeling Sarah, might have just decided to join him and has not made an effort to go back to the other pod. But I'm sure as this dam dries out, she has a higher chance of returning to the other pod, while he does not have a chance, and he'll either have to source out other water sources or stay here for as long as possible. Hippos can get exposed to sun and dehydrate very quickly. So most of the hippos, when they do want to move away to find other sources of water, they need to move during the hours of darkness where it is cool and less exposed to the sun. As much as hippos do love lying and basking in the sun in the winter period, it is only for a couple of hours before they have to retreat back into the water. They do have this amazing substance that they excrete that helps as a form of sun cream and a very strong antibiotic. What am I talking about? Antibiotic? Yeah, antibiotic. And if they do they've got very thick skin, and if anyone has seen the inside of a hippo's mouth, they have these very large teeth and very peculiar teeth that yet nobody understands why they do have some of these teeth. Yes, the larger curved ones that look like canines are actually used as a form of defense, but all the others, I really do not understand why they have them. My theory is because they are generally, especially in like swampy areas where you get thick reeds, and hippos do actually play a vital role in opening up riverways and unblock riverways that are clogged up with reeds. So maybe having all these teeth that acts as a different mechanism to help break up these reeds and papyrus that clog up a lot of waterways. So that might be one of the reasons. I do not know. But it's understandable why they have these teeth. It might just be an adaptation that they're losing or gaining. We have not been around on this planet and studied hippos long enough over the period of which they are. Chris, okay, what has the strongest bite? Hippos, crocodiles, or hyenas? Now, I have seen hippos smash a canoe in half. Luckily, this canoe did not have anybody in it. Now, this was a fiberglass canoe, and they have a reputation, or not the canoes itself, but hippos do have a bad reputation of destroying boats. Now, they do have this ability to open their mouths at like a 180 angle, especially in the evening when they want to yawn. I'm sure some of you have seen it before on safari or on live TV. So you'll find, yes, they do have this ability to open their mouths very wide and clamp it shut. That is a form of defense when they are attacking something. That I've seen with hippos, like I said, with a canoe where they've smashed it in half. Then hyenas, they do have this amazing extra muscles in their forehead that helps them clamp down to break bone. And what was the other animal? Leopard or lion?
It was a crocodile.
Crocodile. Sorry, neither of the cat. Crocodiles, they do have ability, they slam their jaws shut. And it's very hard for them to, like, they don't chew like us. They just open and close. And obviously, I've seen with relocating crocodiles, if you just almost stand on top of their top jaw and close their mouths, you can easily control them like that and then tape it up. They have more control over their bottom jaw than their top jaw. So out of all three of them, I'm just going by the size of the animal. Hippos, I think by that standard, will have the stronger bite. But then when it comes to crushing power, when direct pressure is forced, I'm going to go with hyena. But when it comes to actually something that latches on and does not let go, that will be the crocodile. They're all needed for different reasons. Like hyenas need the crushing power to break up bone and skin and other tough sinew parts of animals. Hippos need a bite more for protection and for fighting, while crocodiles use it for feeding. They latch onto something, and what they call the death roll, when they latch on something and it spin, they need that. Crocodiles need that closing power, that strength to hold shut and twist to be able to pull apart an animal and be able to, they throw their heads back and then swallow that piece of meat whole. They don't have that chewing power as hyenas do. So as far as I'm aware, I'll go for hippo, but I am not going to go and experiment this. I'm just going to go by what is out there. There might be some articles around who have already studied this and can give you exact measurements and pressure on which one's got the strongest bite. Okay, while we watch these two and their behaviors, we're going to head over to Orly and his bushwalk.
Oh, we're still walking here in this savanna biome. We saw this beautiful plant fruiting, and this is called a leopard orchid. It's my first time seeing a leopard orchid with fruits. Wow, this is amazing. And you can also see the new shoots coming out there. It simply means it's having a good time in this tree. Leopard orchids are not parasitic plants. They don't benefit anything from their host. As you can see, this tree is dead. They're on top of this tree, which is called an opthorn. And I wonder what's inside those fruits, because I've never seen these, and I would love to see what's inside there, but it's on top. I can't even climb. So what it does is the roots of this plant, they normally face upwards and make something like a cup shape. That's how they collect water, and then that's how they survive. It doesn't require any nutrients from their host. And earlier on I had a question from a little Dixie asking about my spot pattern. Leopard spot pattern. It's 1 and 1. I'm not sure whether they are visible. Are they visible, Craigie? Yeah. Yeah. Are they visible? Yeah, it's 1, 1. That's my spot pattern. Oh, we are proceeding now. Listen to that. Can you hear it? It's a bird of prey. Do you know what's that? If you know it, hit your buttons. Your questions, your comments, please send them to #SafariLive. I'm waiting for your answers. Let me do it again. It's a bird of prey, and it loves flying around looking for nests of the other birds. But I gave you a clue. Please, those answers. Big bird. It's so nice and cool. The sun was out, but it's gone now because of the clouds. I'm trying to listen because that's what we have to do when tracking and following and identifying tracks. Listen, smell. Can only hear a small bird again, which is called a green-backed camaroptera, small passerine bird. Very beautiful. It's green on the back, then it's grayish underneath. Purple, it's parrot. No, it's not. That bird, it's very far from here, but I can hear the call. And I always love seeing these birds. Beautiful birds. Beak like this, yellow legs. Silverback saying it's a hawk. Nearly there. You're right, it's a hawk, but which one? You're right. It's grayish in color, and then on the edges of their wings, it's black. Sometimes it has a red face, and sometimes it has a yellow face. I'm giving you answers now. Let's see who's going to get it correct. So I don't see any tracks yet here. I'm walking. Nothing. Let me reveal the answer. The bird I just mimicked its call. It's called an African harrier hawk. Here's the bird. This one is an African harrier hawk. Can you get it, Craigie? Very nice bird. Has the yellow legs. And then let's play its call. Listen to this. Nice one. So, I'm still searching for tracks. Hopefully I'll find a scorpion track or maybe a beetle track. But for now, while I'm looking, let's go to Lauren in the Mara, who's also in search of a cheetah.
Oh, a scorpion. Wouldn't that be interesting? Now, I'm just scanning around. As I mentioned, I should actually keep... Whoa! Hello, everybody. Fantastic view. I should actually keep my binoculars attached to my head. Now, I can't see anything apart from my nose face very closely, so that's not a good idea. But we have heard a leopard was sighted in this area yesterday, and this is the approximate location of Nasirian and her son, the two cheetahs, which is why we are heading on this way. So we're getting there. Slowly but surely, we will make our way in the right direction. And you know me. I don't give up. So we will find our spots in some shape or form. Oh, I just stole the car. Isn't that wonderful? So you know that many of us tease each other in SafariLive, and it normally boils down to accents. Now, I am the first one to say that I have a bizarre accent, and some of the words I say sound a little bit odd. I am aware of that, and I will make fun of myself later, but I have to say, darling Nina and Rusty have the most adorable way of pronouncing hyena. Nina, can you just say it in my ear and make me laugh, please? Say hyena. You guys won't be able to hear this, but I indeed will. Or hopefully I will. Now, when we do go back to Rusty, he's on his Nkahuma mission. Please ask Rusty to say hyena. It's just absolutely adorable. There's like an extra letter in there. There's an extra H in there that shouldn't be in there. But I am no one to talk. I know that my accent is bad. And if I was to actually speak the way that the people I live with at home, especially my brother, was to speak, then I'm pretty sure you would not be able to understand me at all. I'll try and see if I can get... Nina's now, I think she's questioning herself. No, your accent is fine. It's just my Scottish ears doesn't always pick up on it, especially the lipids. The lipids. And I'm like, what's the lipid? Manu's laughing. What's the lipid? And then I'm like, oh, leopard. Okay, I got it. It just takes a while to process. So if I was to say, let me do an example of this. Okay, I can't find anything. I'm going to give up now and I'm going to go home. So if I was to say this at home, it would be, I can't find anything and I'm going to give up now and I'm going to make my way home. That's Scottish for you. That was a piece of rough Scottish with a little bit of West Coast in there. Now, Linda's saying she loves my accent. Thank you, Linda. I know it is different. It's different. And the South African accent is fantastic, but there's just some words I'm like, huh? What? And many of them put the word hey at the end of the sentence. So it's like, Lauren, do you fancy going to the swimming pool today? Hey? And I'm like, hey, okay, hey. It's adorable. But I'm sure I'm going to get it worse now. I'm sure everyone else is going to tease me more than anyone due to my pronunciation. Scottish is indeed very, very unique. So I try to speak as neutral as I can and not let my Scottish accent come through. But you must make sure to ask Rusty to say hyena. Hyena. Anyway, that's me talking a lot about nothing. I just hope we can get to the area in time today. These drives fly by so quickly that sometimes it's a race against the end of time to find things. Piecing together all the information that you have in order to try and get to things in the right amount of time. It's not easy, you know? Okay, Nina's going for it. I hope Rusty doesn't kill me. But he does say it in the most adorable way. So let's go down to Rusty and hear him say hyena.
Well, between Lauren, myself, and Paulie, you might have 3 different pronunciations of hyena. Now, everyone laughs at my way of saying it, but I am not South African, and yeah, I am actually Zimbabwean, so I was brought up on the British English, which doesn't really mean much since my dialect is a bit weird. But I will just have to say hyena. Hyena, hyena, hyena. If I say it enough times, it gets a bit confusing. But whether that answers everyone's question, I don't know. I think with Lauren's accent, it sounds really cool. With Paulie and his pronunciation of hyena, I think he definitely rocks it. So our plan right now, Trishala actually is on a training drive with our new friend that's entered camp, and she has found Nkuhumas for us. So we are going to head in that direction. We were hearing them this morning and we went in a completely different direction. Whether or not it was the Nkuhumas that were calling, I don't know, because these ones are in the complete opposite direction to where I thought the sun was coming from. But it doesn't mean it wasn't them, it just could have meant it was a different pride of lions. Now, it's not far, but I don't want to rush there because I might miss something. It's like I said, it's very cool this morning and there's a lot of activity moving around. And we have time. There's a lot of elephant sign around here, so I'm still hoping to find them or just bump into one or two of them. So just by cruising along right now, we will just see how it is. So, yeah. We'll just see what's about. There's, like I said, there's a lot of sign of elephant. I mean, there's vegetation all over the road, a lot of dung. A very large herd has been through here, but I still have no sight of them. But like I said, we are just taking it easy. We know where they are. Although it is cool, the lions could easily get up and move, and I do hope to see them, but I can't guarantee it. Nothing's a guarantee here, and that's what I like about it. If it's too planned, too organized, it becomes very... There's a fancy name for it, but it just becomes too easy. So, by driving along right now, we'll just see what's around. Okay, I'm going to keep going. I'll let you know when we arrive there, but we're going to go over to Bali on his bushwalk.
Find something interesting, and Rexon just called me now and he wants to show something to us. What's that? Oh, look what we have found. Look what we have found. Look what we have found. These are chicks. And you can see they are still yellow. The feathers are still yellow. And this is nest belongs to a dove. You can see the nest is not properly constructed. Oh, poor things. They're beautiful, isn't it? Oh my goodness. And you can see this nest is not properly constructed, but when these things are getting bigger and bigger, they'll defecate, and then their droppings will make a concrete, something like that. They'll make this nest more stronger, because for now, if the heavy wind or storm comes, they will be more vulnerable. Where's the mother? Or parents? They might be around. It's my first time seeing such a thing in the bush. Amazing stuff. Send your one-word tweet about this on #SafariLive, and my one-word tweet is magic. Magic. Thank you to Rexon. And they're breathing heavily. And they're born altricial, as you can see. It means they are helpless. That simply means they will depend on their both parents to feed them and raise them. And what I've realized about the doves, and more especially the dove, the parent, what's this dove? It's a Cape Turtle dove. These chicks, one between the two here, it's male, and one is female. And they will grow up together and they will form a pair. They will mate after that. That's what I've noticed, because I had a pair at my place there that laid eggs, and they grew up in the same nest, brothers and sisters, mating. What's your one-word tweet? Ivory says, adorable. Yes, indeed, this is adorable. Linda, precious. Yes, indeed, precious. And they're so helpless. That's why they're born altricial. If one says vulnerable, Ramonia says fuzzy. And you can see from a distance, you can't really see them. Can't really see them from a distance because they camouflage with the surrounding here. And they will stay quiet until the parent comes here. They won't move, they won't do anything. They will just keep quiet and wait for the parent. And so the parent will regurgitate the food, and that's how they feed. Oh my goodness. Oh. Craigie, do you love this? Yeah, Craigie says he likes what he's looking at right now. Jennifer wants to know how warm is their skin without feathers. Can I touch them? No. But they're pretty warm because they are so close together, and that's how they keep themselves warm when the parents are not here. And when the parents comes, he will just sit or lie on top of them nicely there. She or he will be careful with that. And then, as we know, at this age, they really need their parents. So the parents will spend the night with them. This is beautiful. Oh. I feel I can touch them, but I can't. I don't want to. Yee. Yeah. So I would love to see these chaps flying in the air. But for now, let's go to Lauren with a cheetah.
Did they pronounce it for you? Did Rusty pronounce hyena? I hope he did. It's adorable. Anyway, I'm just not used to hearing that word be pronounced like that. So I've probably started a war now. Oh, he did. I'm glad he did. You all got to hear it. I'll probably make him paranoid now, so I do apologise. Now, we are kind of driving on what looks like the road to nowhere, but I can assure you very shortly we will come to an area we call Egyptian Goose Dam. I think that's correct. And this is where Nasirian and Son have been spotted a lot recently. Again, similar to Kichwa Airstrip where Busara is, the grass is much shorter and the prey items are plenty. It's very, very similar. So that's basically what we're here for. I am desperate to meet her. Obviously Patrick's already had that wonderful honour, but I am desperate to meet her and her son. And if they really, really are hanging around this area like people say they are, then hopefully we have a good chance to find them. As you know, cheetahs are primarily more active during the day. I don't actually know why I'm driving like an old lady right now. I apologise. I'm going to drive a bit more normal. Yeah, they are primarily more active during the day. That's when you will see them walking about, and that's when you will see them potentially hunting. So it's still morning. It's not that hot yet, so it is the perfect time to spot some cheetah. So we are on the road to the border. So if we don't find mother and son, then indeed we will continue on to the border and hopefully find some brother action down there. So we do have a plan. We are not just driving into the middle of nowhere, and it does feel like at the moment actually. It is very quiet on the animal front, and I do have a little niggling thought in my mind that these fires could potentially be causing a little bit of an unbalanced situation here at the minute, but I obviously have no proof of that, so I hope that's not the case. Okay, so there's lots of Thompson's gazelle here. The perfect snack for some cheetah. and I can see lots and lots of animals around here. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a scan. Just going to pull over and make sure I'm not blocking anybody. And it does look like Mr. Rusty has found his cat. So let's go down and say hi to the Nkahumas.
We are very lucky this morning, and I am loving it. We have the Nkahumas. Now, for all of the viewers who do not know who these are, this is the resident pride of lions that pretty much rule the roost here. Now, they just happen to be lying right next to one of the main roads that go in and out of some of the camps around here, and we are the only ones here. I mean, it could have been better planned. They could have been all lying in long grass, tucked away somewhere where we cannot find them. But they are lying literally meters from the road. And I've counted 8 or 9 of them. I think I counted 8 that I can see, but they are very spread out over a distance of about 10 meters. And they're all parked up in the shade. There is a bit of licking and grooming going on. I think most of them were very active last night, so they are just resting up. They're all at different angles. Judging from some of their bellies and some of the angles that some of them are lying at, I've got a funny feeling they might have fed on something recently. Something not very big, but I'm sure they've had a kill not so long ago. Oh, the look of that lion. How can you not love it? So yeah, they're actually looking a bit damp around the edges as well. So it actually wasn't that long ago since they've been walking. Actually, there was quite a bit of heavy dew this morning, which I'm sure they're licking off and just keeping clean and dry from. So all of you who do know it, the viewers that have been watching them for the last couple of years, actually, they've actually been on the reserve, almost a year now, eh? They've moved into the area about a year ago, and we've been slowly catching up on them. And I've actually seen there is a female around here with a horrible scar on her hind leg, which is healed up very nicely. And I watched a clip about it the other day of how it's healed over the last couple of months. And then you've got that Mingeni male, who I believe he's further up on the right-hand side. We can't really see him from this angle, but he is looking very well, very, very well compared to how when I first got introduced to him, he still had one of his siblings with him, and both of them looked horrendous. But mange is one of those problems that it hits the more weaker genes of lions that are just in bad condition, and it can take over very quickly with a lot of animals, with horses, with dogs, with cats. So yeah, lions, when they get them, obviously because they're very closely family orientated, that mite that lives under the skin that causes the mange actually spreads very quickly. But depending on the condition of the lions, how good their immune system is and how healthy they are, they can fight it very quickly. But those young males, with considering their history, that one that's left is healed up very nicely. Although whoever was watching a couple of weeks ago when I bumped into these guys, and I said, oh, look at that large female, she's an exceptionally large one. And as he stood up, you noticed that what was between the legs, and I completely mistaken that Mingeni male for one of the adult females. But yes, because of the mange, he does not have a mane. Whether or not that mane will grow back later on, we are not sure. But it is a mistake I'm not going to do again. These lions, although this one is not very rested, the other ones are they're all very well, they're very comfortable at the moment, so I don't know if any of them will move. But like I said, that as I speak, one of them is getting up. Whether or not she is going to make a move or just change position, I do not know. But look, judging from their stomachs, either she is carrying, if she is pregnant, or she is actually eaten something. But judging by how all of them are passed out and are in a very comfortable position, which means that they've probably eaten something recently, which was I'm happy about, because last time I saw them, they're on a mission to look for food. They were all looking a bit skinny around the edges, but this one absolutely does not. Robert, when do lions stop growing? Was that the question? Lion claws. When did they stop growing? I am actually not sure on that question, that answer. When do their claws stop growing? Just confirm it's the right question. If that is the question, I am not too sure about it. I'm just going by the house cats that we've had, or when they stop growing. It's like our nails. They don't actually stop. They just get used and abused, and obviously by wear and tear, they get managed that way. I don't believe they actually do have a stopping growing point. I think if it's anything compared to our claws, our nails, imagine us with claws. Actually, some people actually bit on fake nails that look like claws. But anyway, the claws on lions, as far as I'm aware, do not stop growing, but I'm not 100% on that. I don't think they would stop growing. I can't see why they would stop growing, because they need them for hunting. They need them for climbing when they do often, not often, but when they do occasionally climb a tree. And obviously for hunting, they need their claws. So obviously wear and tear will wear them down, and they have to keep growing. So generally, by what I know, I don't believe they do stop growing. But I could be totally wrong. They could stop growing at a certain age, or slow down at a certain age, like everyone else in the world. But I may be wrong. Now, although this cat does seem to be eating a tree and a bit of grass, these are not vegetarian lions. They are just like any other animal. When they do have an upset stomach, or when they have recently eaten and they've eaten too much, or eaten something that is of a distasteful product, or whatever they're eating, they do what dogs do and eat grass to help settle it. Sometimes the grass helps to bring it up, whatever the problem is inside. Now this one is definitely showing signs of eaten something, but also, I just need my binos here. I just want to take a closer look of her nipples. Now her nipples is standing out a little bit. Either she is pregnant and she is starting to lactate, or she has suckled recently, or the fact that it's just a very large stomach full of food and it just making the nipple protrude out of the skin. It's one of those options. I don't think it's been suckled because it's not pink. So no, I think it's just a very fat lion. I'm just going to reverse a little bit and see if we can pick up the others. They're all spread out, so we might have some luck further back. We can see if that Mangeni male, we did see him. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's, I believe that is the Mangeni male lying at the back, further behind, with this facing us. Just looking at the size of him, and you can still see a bit of the remnants of the mange still on there, but he's looking very well indeed, and he looks like he's got a very full stomach, which is good to see. So we are going to stay with them, and we're going to head over to Oli on the bushwalk.
Still have some things interesting. A lot is happening here. What's happening here is what I was talking about earlier on while I was with the wildebeest. You can see the disturbance around here and it dropping. This disturbance is made by a male wildebeest with its front hoofs. You can see the front hoofs are the sharpest ones. They're very sharp, and the hind foot are sort of curvy, or I can say blunt. and you can see it down there. This dung, it looks different according to seasons. During the rainy season, it looks like this, very wet. But during winter season, it looks like this. This one, Craigie. It becomes pellets because the vegetation will be dry and then it will become pellets. So when the vegetation is good, it will be very wet. So another thing happening here is this. You can see there's a path here. This path. This wildebeest came from this path to the other side. This path was made by an elephant. So wildebeest, they prefer open plains. And then, so we can see now this place is very thick. Then they don't prefer walking in these thickets, so they will follow the elephant or hippo paths, and then that's what they do. So that is very interesting, because sometimes you can see them not far away from the head of elephants, just following them while the elephants are opening such openings. And then this is definitely a territorial behavior of a blue wildebeest. And sometimes you can see the horns, like not the horns, but the markings of the horns, like on the ground, because it also scratches its forehead while marking its territory. Why they do that? They're telling other males that this is their turf. They own this place, and no one must come here, because he's owning all the females around him. Interesting, hey? Boom, let's proceed and see what else we can find. Oh, you know, trekking in science is so interesting because it's an old thing that was happening before it was written in books. It was done by the San people and the Khoi people. That they were first here before all the tribes you can think of, like the Ndebeles, the Zulus, the Xhosas, to name the few. We had these people hunting. So while I have 6 eyes here, me, Craigie, and Rexon, looking for things that are amazing, let's go to Rusty Dusty with the Inkuhumas.
Is that better?
For now, yeah.
Well, if anyone knows what position that is in yoga, what this young chap is doing, I will be happy to hear what you all have to say about his yoga position. He's definitely not a downward dog, but he is definitely airing his bits to the world. But they have definitely eaten something in the last few, let's say, I think definitely in the last night, or early hours of, or late hours of yesterday. I'm not too sure where they turned out. It must have been not very big. I think they all got a bit of a bite or fair share of it and then moved on. So yes. There was a question that came through earlier. It was regarding if Amber Eyes is one of the adult lionesses here. Now, the giveaway with her appearance is by having amber eyes. And to be honest, I cannot make it out now because they all have got shut eye. So Amber Eyes, the question was, do I think she is pregnant? We cannot answer that truthfully. I am not too sure. She was seen mating about a week, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So whether or not she is pregnant, she might have gone into a false estrus. We did know, there was I don't know if it was a story or fact going around whether she has a den site. But like what I've heard before of lions going to false estrus, especially if there's new males in the area or a male has come through and is trying to take over the pride, I've heard of lions going into false estrus to tease the male or to mate with the male, to let him, just to pretend that everything's fine and that she's just an estrus. So she mates with this male, and then all of a sudden, a few days later, she comes wandering back in with cubs, saying, voila, look what you've produced. Obviously, lions cannot tell day or time, so they're not sure exactly how or where, if those cubs are his or not, but is just a way apparently some lionesses do it, but it's not always fact. So whether we're not too sure, I'm not too sure which one is Amber Eyes. It was definitely not the one we were looking at earlier, but I am not too sure where she might be in this. There is, I counted 10 individuals here. So I'm not too sure which one is, if Amber Eyes is even here. We are missing one individual. This pride consists of 11, but right now there is 10. So Amber Eyes might not even be here. She might be the one missing. But not missing like missing in action, just not here. She might even be at the den site, her supposed den site, or she might be with cubs already. We do not know. I will let you obviously follow up with that later on. While we are here, we are going to head back over tomorrow where Lauren has a surprise for us, or for you.
Surprise! Okay, so it's not spots, but I did spot it. Very proud of myself. We have lions, a rather large group. We believe to be the Salt Lick Pride, because we are indeed in the Salt Lick area, and we have cubs. Lots of cubs actually running around, and some males. So we're still working on the ID of the males, because it's not easy when they're sort of nestled in the grass like this. But I do believe there's a high chance it could be the young sausage males. So no confirmation on that just yet, but that is indeed what we are thinking. Now, if Manu could just give you a look into the background, there is a very brave jackal. Jackals are brave. Just coming closer and closer, and I don't know why you're doing that, Mr. Jackal. There's a lot of lions here who have already been sort of a little bit irritable. We've heard some growls, we've heard some snaps. They're hot. The cubs are annoying them, and we heard some growls from the males. So if I was you, Mr. Jackal, I would indeed stay back. So looks like it is the Salt Lick Pride, which I haven't caught up with for a while. And indeed, I just want to get a better look at those males. Now, we did see the young sausage male not so long ago now, at night time, feeding on a topi. And I just want to get a better look at this one's face until I confirm it is indeed them. Now, we are in the Salt Lick area. So, of course, it does make it a little bit easier when you sort of know the lion's territories, you know their boundaries, you know roughly where they roam. Of course, these boundaries are a lot more fluid than us humans like to think. But indeed, this is the Salt Lick area. And this lioness, are you going to have a scratch? They're all looking very uncomfortably hot. And it is, indeed, I have removed all my layers too, so I do understand. Here we go. Turtle's saying happy lions. Yes, it is. It's nice to have a nice lion sighting compared to the other day. And of course, these males, we obviously haven't identified them 100% yet, but they are with the pride. So there's absolutely no threat here from these males. And in order for these males to be very, very comfortable around the cubs, they must assume that they either are the fathers, or if they are the young sausages, I'm not sure if they have been seen mating with the Salt Lick Pride yet. However, there's absolutely no animosity between these lions. They are all together as one. Whereas what happened with Patrick's sighting was indeed a clash between different prides. And I believe it obviously was caused fundamentally by the hippo carcass, and that is indeed what happened and why 2 little cubs got killed. But these little cubs are safe for now, safe with the mums in the pride and safe with these males. I just wish we could get a better look at where they are. One of them from this angle, and it is a terrible angle, really does look like that ginger mohawk boy that we saw the other night. it's really not too far away from where we are. So why don't we try, here's an idea, not my idea, my nose. Why don't we try and reposition and actually see if we can look at his face? That would be helpful, wouldn't it? I'm just going to go around a little bit, keeping our distance. And if we can get a look at his face, then we can get an ID. He is flat in the grass. Flat as a pancake. There's 2 males with very ginger manes. Okay, one of them, this is not brilliant, is it? Should we keep going around, do you think? Yeah. They've got their face right in the grass, which is not ideal at all because you can't see your face. Yeah. So we're going to give you a different angle, but it's probably definitely not going to be a better angle of the males. I'm sorry about that. We thought we could just go around. I really want to see their face. It's all, possibly. We might get a little glimpse. Obviously, Manu is much higher up than I am, so we might, in fact, get a view of this male after all. Or not. So you can see the 2 males are indeed flat right here, and we are actually going to stay with them a little while just so we can get an ID. And even if they don't pop their heads up during the drive, I will of course get an ID for you because it would be very good to know who the Salt Lick Pride are of course associated with. Now they have even been seen with Kapuli not so long ago, so it would be great to find out who these male... Oh, hello, male. This way, please. You're looking the wrong way. We just turned the car and now you're looking. That is not ideal at all. Now, there was a question about infanticide in cats compared to other animals. And indeed, it's a very horrible thing to think about, and it does happen in the big cats. And normally it happens when new males are hoping to come in and take over a pride. So it's a very traumatic thing to do. And from my observations and from my knowledge, there's a very finicky relationship between female lions in a pride and males. It takes, it seems a bit like anthropomorphizing, but it takes a while for female lions to trust a male and to really let them into the pride. They are always on guard. They have such a strong bond amongst the females. The pride is everything to a lioness. And they seem to... Oh, that lioness had the sniffles or something, or a little bit of an allergic reaction there, girl. Yes, so the pride is everything, and you know, sometimes we observe prides and I genuinely do see a lot of tender love and care from lionesses to one another, but when males come in it changes everything, and the females know this. They're very careful around the males. The males normally, when they're ready to do a takeover, have such high levels of testosterone which just keep increasing and it makes them incredibly aggressive, and it's just their natural instinct as a male lion. We're specifically talking about lions here at the minute, to come in and to start afresh. If they know that the cubs are not theirs, which they will if they've never been associated with this pride before, they will of course know that the cubs are not there, and it's their natural instinct, I'm afraid, to kill those cubs that are normally generally under 1 year. They can of course kill the cubs if they're above 1 year, but approximately that is the age that the male lions indeed will come in and kill them, and it's an incredibly sad thing to see or even hear about, but it is the natural way in lions, and it does quite a few things. It allows the lions that are taken over, the coalition that are taken over, to start again, get rid of another male lion's cubs, and it will bring the females into estrus again. So that's the cycle of life, if you like. The females will come into estrus, which allows the new males who are taking over to of course mate with these females and hopefully fertilize them and have cubs of their own. So it's a sort of case of survival of the fittest, kin selection. They want to see their own cubs be raised by the females. So it's a hard thing for our females to get their head around, but that is generally how it does work in cats. And it's not just lions. Other big cats will kill other cubs as well, but it's just very, very common when there is a takeover, when the males are trying to take over a pride. So indeed, with Patrick's situation the other night, it was very, very complicated for so many reasons. And it doesn't appear to have been a takeover. It appears to have been a sort of aggressive battle over a hippo and over territorial boundaries, which unfortunately just resulted in some cubs dying, which is just incredibly sad. We can see you, little cub. So we are going to stay here a little bit longer because I'm determined to maybe reposition and at least try and get a look at these sleepy cats' face. But for now, we're going to send you back down to the bushwalk team.
Bushwalk is on fire. Look what we have for you. Can you spot something there? Rexon has great eyes. May you please take a guess what is this? If you don't know, I will tell you just now. It's well camouflaged there. Okay, let me tell you what are these. These is nest of a hurricane button quail, which is a ground-dwelling bird, and it's a ground nesting bird. These are the eggs. There are 4. Don't know whether you can see them properly, Craigie. You see them properly there? Yeah, eggs. If Rexon was not on the front, we're going to step just on top of them. Lionheart, yes, these are beautiful eggs. They are well camouflaged, and if Craig can zoom out, you can't even see what's happening on the floor. And this nest, you can see it's not well prepared, just straight on the floor, just right next to bushes there, so it will hide away from predators. And let me show you the picture of the owner. Craigie, will you please disturb you just for a few seconds? This is the owner. This is the owner of these eggs. Looks like a Francolin. The call goes like this. Ooh. 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 Nice one. Back to the eggs. Let's see, this egg is Craigie. What a beautiful sighting. Mr. Tick, can I tell how far the eggs from hatching? I will read something here because it's my first time seeing these eggs and it's my first time bumping on them. Nest is like site selected by female, built either by female only or by both sexes in captivity. Shallow scrape in soil, 60 to 75 millimeters in diameter. Oh, that's confusing information. Or eggs 2 to 4 laid at daily intervals, but one day may be missed, so that a clutch of 4 eggs is laid over 5 days. Incubation, it starts at clutch completion. Period 12 to 15 days. Average 14 days in captivity. Then 15 days plus or minus in the wild. By male only. Ooh, nice one. And males leaves nest 8 times or more days for 5 to 15 minutes to forage and sunbathe. Amazing. That's awesome. So I don't know how far these eggs from hatching, but soon enough we'll see them. So I will mark the area, and then I will try by all means when I'm in a bushwalk, I come visit the spot. 6 eyes are better than 2. But for now, let's leave these eggies. Maybe the parents wants to incubate. So let's go to Rusty with the inkuhumas.
Okay, they haven't moved much, but we did change position a little bit. I'll just try to see if this was Amber Eyes, a female that we were talking about earlier, but she hasn't graced us with opening her eyes and facing us directly, but I am not too sure. They all are very content and are not moving anywhere. I think that whatever they fed on, they are finished and are all parked up for the day. So no, I've counted 10 of them. So yeah, like I said, one is not here. It might be further in the bush that I cannot see. So the majority of the pride is here. But I'm glad they found something to eat. They look very content with themselves. And I'm glad they are back on Djuma, since they do have been moving around the last 3 or 4 weeks since I've arrived here. They've just been crossing over for a day or two and then moving out again. But with full bellies as they are now, and they are fast asleep on our property, it is nice to have them back, even for the time that they choose to spend here. But yeah. Well, it's still a very cool morning, and it is not changing in the weather at all for now. But yeah, it's been a very, very cool morning for me, and I hope for you as well, starting with that hyena just outside of camp, all the way to Jason. Yes, I was discussing this earlier. Have they made a kill recently? Yes, we believe they have. You can actually see their stomachs, especially the one we're focusing on now. You can see how their stomachs actually protrude a little bit. That is a clear indication of having a full belly. I saw them a few days ago and they did not look like that. They were more concave and were more, they were moving around a lot more. So yes, they're definitely eaten something. I'm not too sure what. It mustn't have been too large, whatever it may have been. But having these 6 youngsters that got a ferocious appetite and are growing very quickly, they will consume whatever there is very quickly. So they could have got a buffalo, they could have got a zebra, could have got a kudu, but that with so many individuals and youngsters as it is, they would have consumed it very quickly. So it's very hard to say what they had. If it was an impala, I think they wouldn't have had, I think 2 or 3 would have had bellies like this. But all of them have got a fair share amount of meat in there, and now they are digesting it. I did see the tracks coming down the road. I don't know how far they walked last night, but one of the dams of water sources is not far from here, so I think from here they'll probably walk down to the water much later on, even this afternoon. I am not too sure if I'll be on drive this afternoon, but if so, I will definitely be following up on them, or one of us will be, to see what they get up to. As much as I want the show to continue on for another few hours, I will try keep you updated this afternoon to see what they get up to. Right now, they are going to do what lions do best at this time of the day and lounge about. But don't give them wrong. If it takes one animal to limp past you, Lauren, interesting question. Do lions get morning sickness like humans do? Are you referring to morning sickness as in the morning sickness when you're pregnant? I'm not too sure about that. I don't think so. I've never seen lions vomit or have problems like that when they're pregnant. So I'm not too sure. But talking about morning sickness, my sister just had a child a few days ago, and I'm sure all of that is way past. So I think she is smiling and watching this as we speak, and quite happy to be over all that morning sickness from pregnancy. So yes, to answer that truthfully, I do not know, and I can happily find out for you, but I cannot say for sure. It is an interesting question. I don't know. I've seen dogs being pregnant. I haven't seen them being sick from it. Lions need to feed and hunt just as well as all the others that are not pregnant, so I am not too sure. I can't see why I'm sure there's a lot of changing of hormones and body issues, I don't know what you want to call it, within a lion when it's pregnant, or within any animal. So I'm not too sure. I really don't know. Okay, we are going to leave them be and carry on with our morning and see if we head back. And if we get there in time, we'll see if Tingana has gone back to his kill or not. There is another vehicle approaching us that might want to view the lions. So, thank you very much, lions. You have done a splendid job for us. Yep. So, we're going to leave them be and move on. Cheers, enjoy.
The torchwood is working.
So, yep. So, yes. While they are parked up in the shade for the rest of the day, most of them are exposed to the elements. So yeah, talking about, we will send you back to Lauren with the Saltwick Pride in the Mara.
Well, we have repositioned with our lions because it wasn't ideal, and we have came across this wound. Oof. It looks very nasty indeed, and it does look fresh. Ouch, is all I can say. I wonder what indeed this lioness got up to. And it is sitting on her left shoulder blade area, and it does look a painful one. This could have potentially been them hunting last night, or I guess fighting with one another. But I don't see why these lionesses in this pride would fight with one another. So something has happened to this lioness. And look at this cub. So I said I would find spots, and it wasn't indeed the spots that I intended to, but these cubbies are very spotty. So at least I delivered on at least something I was going to do today. So both Manu and I have had a great look, and we do agree that this is the young sausage tree males. Now, we're still not getting a great visual of them right now, but they keep popping their heads up and down every so often, and indeed it appears to be the sausage tree young males. And one of them we saw the other night feeding on a topi, and it's definitely the same one. He's got that nick in his ear, ginger colour hair, and that sort of fashionable mohawk style. That is obviously very fashionable among male lions. So we have agreed that it is them, and it is the Salt Lick Pride. And this little cub over here has been getting a few cuddles and a few licks from a very hot and panting mama. Isn't that really cute? Mama, it's not that hot yet. What have you been up to? There's a nice breeze today, which is sort of breaking up the heat. And indeed, she's perfect. Look at that. Oh, that makes me just want to fall asleep right here, right there in the car. But they're all panting extremely heavily for this time in the morning. We actually spotted them because they were mobile, they were walking. That was how we spotted them, and they've came down and sort of plonked themselves under the tree for some shade. So I wonder if that's why they are all hot and bothered. Walk in the Rain's asking, do we report injuries? Yes, we do, actually. We have a good connection with many of the rangers out here. And obviously there's organisations that look after the hyenas, there's organisations that look after the cheetahs, and indeed we do report injuries. I mean, well, let's take another look at this injury, if we're able to see it. Not got a great view of it right now, but indeed it's very common to see lions with injuries like this. And although, yeah, we're not getting the best view, but it is there. Although it does look quite painful to us, this is actually an injury that a lion can bounce back from. They do tend to be quite robust and resilient, and they can withstand lots of injuries. And I do think this one will eventually, it probably will take some time, just close up and heal. Lions are famous for having all sorts of injuries, scars, missing eyes, limps, and over time they do eventually bounce back. But of course we do report it. But I do think this lioness indeed will be fine. I really, really do. It looked about this size, to be honest, but it didn't look too deep. Now, obviously, the shallower an injury, the more easily it can recover from it. So hopefully, this lioness will be absolutely fine. But a lioness will absolutely defend her young when it comes to it. And that's one of the most amazing things about lionesses. Gizmo's asking, can lions get tick fever? And honestly, I have no idea. I don't believe so, but I actually don't know. I wouldn't be able to give you a definite answer to that question, I'm afraid. But I will definitely check it out. But I don't believe so. That's what my gut is telling me. But I will have to research that further, Gizmo. But most of the lions, at least down in Juma, actually do carry a bit of the bovine TB virus. But it doesn't seem to affect them. So there we go. Gotcha. Thank you for finally bringing your head up, you handsome boy. Now, of course, he's not looking in the direction of us, but at least we're getting a look at him. There we go. Hi. Now, the dynamics of the young sausage males and the salt lick is just something that we have actually been discussing, because obviously Kapuli was affiliated with this pride and these boys as well. So I'm not entirely sure what happened, but on one of my first weeks here, goodness, I can't even tell you how long I've actually been here for now, we actually encountered the Salt Lick Pride and Kapuli was present. So I'm not exactly sure where he is right now, or what has happened between him and these young sausage boys. Where are you going, girl? Are you just finding a better place to lie? Is that little cub annoying you? I indeed think it was. So I think I was saying earlier, lions are actually known, especially down in the Sapi Sands area, to carry the bovine TB, BTB virus, but it doesn't seem to affect them in the way that it would affect humans when it comes to TB. But there's, I think it's like 60% all carriers of this virus. So viruses and parasites that do affect us indeed do affect the animals differently. So as for a tick-borne virus, I'm really not sure when it comes to lions. So I will indeed investigate that. Thank you for the question. Now, we do indeed think there could be... Oh, look at that. Another great spot. Now, this is quite a distance away. I'm sure you can see that. But it is indeed another male lion spotted by my fantastic cameraman. Oh no, where have you gone? Just off to the right. Where has he gone? We've not got a great view right now, but well, could that be indeed Mr. Kapuli? Very high chance that could be Kapuli there, who we were just talking about. Maybe he heard his name and he thought, oh, I'm going to come and see what this is all about. Oh, hopefully we can get another view before we have to end this drive. Obviously, we've got the pride here and the male lion is somewhere far over there. So I am not sure if we are going to get another look at this male lion before we have to end what has been a wonderful drive. But I will indeed keep my eyes open and we will stay here a little bit longer just to try and figure out who that was. But well spotted, Manu. Now, the fact that that male lion is really not too far away shows that indeed it might be Kapuli and he might be on his way over here. So I will stay here and watch out for any interactions. But it has came to that time in the morning again where we are ending our sunrise safari. So thank you everyone who jumped on board. Thank you for all your comments and questions. And please do join us this afternoon for our sunset safari. See you then.